Today, guilty pleas by a pair of so-called fraud tourists who came here to Minnesota from out of state and stole millions of dollars from the state's housing stabilization program. Investigative reporter AJ Legault reports from the federal court on the latest fallout from his housing hustle investigation.
Luxury cars, fancy clothes. Dr. Anthony Jefferson sold himself on social media as living the good life, a man about town in Philadelphia. He was also president of Good Life Christian University. But his good life came by exploiting the lives of Minnesota's poorest.
Excuse me, sir, why did you take so much money from our housing program? How much did that coat cost?
Jefferson admitted in court he stole $3.5 million from Minnesota's housing stabilization program, along with his co-conspirator, a Chanel suspenders-wearing man named Lester Brown. KARE 11 discovered he's actually a pastor.
And the Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming.
On this day, a masked Reverend Brown did not want to talk to reporters.
Reverend Brown, what's the tax rate, sir?
After pushing his way through the revolving door, the fleet-footed faith leader booked it away from our cameras. However, he had a friend in court. She identified herself only as Ms. Reed, who had her own message.
I look at it this way. We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect, okay? Nobody's perfect.
We learned in court the two men used imaginary employees and ChatGPT to forge fraudulent housing records.
The charges against Brown and Jefferson, who also left court face masked, came in the wake of KARE 11's housing hustle investigation that sparked numerous FBI raids and, today, 4 guilty pleas, this time from out-of-state profiteers.
This fraud tourism is new.
Minnesota's former fraud-fighting federal prosecutor, Joe Thompson, brought the charges back in December.
They heard that Minnesota and its housing stabilization services program was easy money.
For that easy money, the Philly fraudsters are now facing hard time.
The sentencing will be at a later date. The U.S. Attorney's Office is now in crisis following mass resignations, including Joe Thompson's, who refused to go along with the DOJ's handling of protester Renee Good's killing by an ICE agent. The DOJ had to fly in a prosecutor from Detroit, Julie, just to handle prearranged guilty pleas.
Well, it's so frustrating because I feel like they really were starting to make progress from the U.S. Attorney's Office on all this fraud. So what now?
It was building such momentum. Law enforcement sources tell me that there would have been numerous new charges filed in January and here in early February, and none of them are happening right now.
Do you think it'll take years, or maybe they just go away, these fraud cases that could have been prosecuted?
You know, I really don't have the answer to that, but I think there's going to be a lot of fraud cases that just don't get prosecuted, because how do you make up that lost wealth of knowledge?
Yeah, we're talking about the 14 prosecutors who left the attorney's office.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, AJ.
Thank you.